everybody, welcome back to One Leeds Fan Channel, and we have a very special guest on with us today. We have Finn from, Wolverhampton Wanderers fan, and I'm sure you know of his channel, Finerrz. And what else have you been on, Finn? You're all over the Wolves scene, aren't you?
Well, I've been one-time things. If I wanted to brag, you can go, Sky Sports, but it's literally 2 seconds. You know what I mean? So yeah. World famous, obviously, but no, yeah, mostly stick around Wolves stuff involved with the channel called Talking Wolves, similar to this one as well. Just like talking football. So yeah, it's good to have me on. First time I've ever been called special. Thanks for that.
I'm sure your parents called you that. But yeah, mate. So we're going to be talking about the Leeds Wolves game coming up. We've had this absolutely rubbish international break, haven't we, Finn? But it's probably been decent for both clubs in a sense, because we've seen our boys in there. You've seen Conor Cody, we've seen Calvin Phillips, so I guess it's been a little bit better on the England scene.
Yeah, well, it's the first time, I'm sure, I don't know whether you're the same as me, it's the first time I've cared in a long time. Apart from every 2 years, whenever there's a Euros and a World Cup, I'm quite fickle with it, really. Then I start to care. But seeing your own, I was talking to someone the other day, the last time a Wolves player was in there was Matt Jarvis, and he got 20 minutes against Ghana. And then now to see a player play a full game. Yeah, mate. Yeah. And then before that, it was probably the bloke behind me, Steve Bull, which is before I was born. I still can't figure out this mirror thing. But no, yeah, it's crazy to not only see him play, but Conor Cody, I think the stat was he'd had one shot in his last 150 games for Wolves. To then see him score, honestly, you could hear it around Wolverhampton. Everyone just like more than a Wolves goal. Normally, it's just surreal. And that shot, by the way, was a penalty that we gave him when we were winning the league, and we took the mick when we were 3-0 up. Gave him a penalty. So yeah, to see him score was amazing. I'm sure for you as well. Leeds players, I suppose you don't look out for it unless your own are in there. I'm very club before country, but
mate,
the last one before.
I think you're the exact same as what me and a lot of my following are. I've been having this chat and interacting with my followers. It's the exact same thing. I think patriotism in this country, and we won't get onto it, but I think there is a level of sort of club before country, as you've just said, mate. Yeah. I think the last time we had someone in there, it was either Milner or Smith. I think it was Smith. I'm pretty sure it was Smith. But yeah, mate, it's in the doldrums, in it, international football. But it is. I tell you what, though. For someone like Conor Cody, I mean, I remember I used to watch Conor Cody play, and I never thought much of him. And what an improvement like players like him and Calvin Phillips have made.
Yeah, well, Calvin Phillips has been on the lips of a lot of Wolves fans at the start of the season, because Southgate, when Conor Cody's been playing so well the last few years for Wolves, Southgate's come out and said, well, I'm not picking a player until he's played in the Premier League. And we're like, okay, fine. And then 2 years, he still hadn't called him up. And then Calvin Phillips gets it before even playing. And we were like, oh, everyone was kicking off. But
mate, we've had that with Jack Grealish as well. Every time Grealish isn't in the squad, it's Calvin Phillips' fault.
Yeah, him or Mason Mount. But no, yeah, it's Cody's a strange one. I think there's a lot, as we were saying off camera, the similarities between managers and stuff. And Nuno, something that doesn't quite, I mean, everyone talks about the 5 at the back and all that stuff and counter-attacking, but man management, Conor Cody, I remember, you'll have known as well, Huddersfield, I think he played against us, scored a screamer, ironically, from about 30 yards against Wolves. But before that, when he signed for Wolves, it was about 2 million. We deployed him centre mid, right back, and then Nuno comes in and goes, no, you're a sweeper. And everyone's like, what is this? He never played centre back in his life, and he plays in this back three, and he's just perfect there. His distribution, balls out to the wing backs. The only thing he does struggle with, which I think we might be okay with you guys, is a big striker. That's his one weakness. So Antonio Mitrovic, the last 2 games, because he's only small, he's not quite centre back size, but in that sweeper role on the whole, it's been a masterstroke. Players like, because they can say Wolves have spent money, but Matt Doherty, Conor Cody, players like that, we've really improved. Well, Nuno has really improved, and it's amazing to see.
Yeah, I've always said with Wolves, I think they're the best side I've seen in the Championship. I mean, that year when you went up, you were frightening, absolutely frightening. I mean, to get Ruben Neves, Willy Bolly in the Championship, I mean, it wasn't good years for Leeds. And I remember you coming to Ellen Road. I think you beat us 3-0. Then at Molineux, you beat us 4-1. It was an absolute. We just, you were just such a brilliant team, and you still are. Do you think? Obviously, now you've been in the Premier League for, I think it's 2 years now, isn't it? You're coming into your 3rd year. Yeah. Is it the? I would never ever say you've been found out. We're 3 games in. I hate that rubbish. It's but you've settled in the Premier League now. What would you sort of explain the start to be? Because it's been a bit of a rocky start, hasn't it, for Wolves?
Yeah, well, obviously towards the end of last season, Wolves were involved a little bit later on than everyone else with the Europa League, and you could really tell we were just sat 10 men behind the ball, even counter-attacking. It was like they can't be bothered here. They just had nothing left in the tank.
Yeah, you've played a lot of games, haven't you? You've played a lot of games.
So many games last season, and obviously it's been promotion. Then that season Europa League, last season Europa League, getting 7th again. Obviously, how it's worked with Arsenal winning the FA Cup, which was a horrible day. It meant that we weren't in the Europa League. So this season is it a step back from what we were, even though the unbelievable things we've done, now it's like, oh, we've just got the Premier League Cup, we're knocked out by Stoke. So it's like, this is boring. We're used to 4 games a week or whatever it was. So it has been strange. And the thing that Wolves fans are sort of looking at, especially from my point of view, is we've had this formation in the Championship. You'll have known it was the 3-4-3. We started with that in the Premier League. Then it went to sort of a 3-5-2 to be a bit more conservative because we were getting found out in midfield because Neves and Moutinho, as nice as they are on the eye, I remember a game against Watford that first season, Decore and Capoue in midfield just dominated them. So we've got that extra body in there. Dendoncker, who's a lot bigger, more physical, box to box. And that really helped. And now with the form of Traore, we had to go back to 3 up front. And then we've sort of been swapping in between the 2 with the 3 in midfield and the 3 up front. And this season, of all seasons when I think we had 3 days pre-season, grand total, with all the team there, obviously with internationals, Wolves coming back late and then having 2 weeks off. And he's decided to do this new revolutionary Mazzala, as you would call it on Football Manager, 3 midfield, but he kind of plays as a winger. And then you have 2 up top. And then, so he's trying not to be found out, but of all seasons where you can't hammer it on the training pitch, we've decided to go new, and it's not quite fallen into place yet. That's what I'd say. But in games like Man City, we reverted, right, none of this nonsense, 3 up front, and we did well again. So you could say we're versatile now, but the systems don't feel ironed out, if you know what I mean. It's a strange time.
Yeah, I think there's so many similarities, Finn, to be honest, mate. I mean, with Leeds, we're so dynamic on the wings, and with Wolves, it's the exact same. I mean, I did a tactical breakdown today, and I couldn't believe some of the figures. It is just the fullbacks push on, and that's why obviously you had so much joy with Doherty. We've got the same with Ayling, who's prominent, one of our fullbacks who just pushes the entire team up. You know, we want possession of the ball consistently as well. But I think the difference is, you know, we've got a lot of the ball, but I do worry against Wolves. They are just so cultured and so quick at this counter-attack, and there's really one man who sticks out there with that counter-attack, isn't there?
Yeah, just about. Well,
is he a footballer, Finn? Because it's not fair that he's a footballer.
Mate, he could be anything. He could be anything, mate. Just those genetics, and as it goes around all the time, he doesn't do gym work. It's like, what? Like over lockdown, I've been trying to do the gym, and it's just still no. Where can he just lend me a bit? But no, yeah, he's a beast, absolute beast. And I think we've seen, especially with the start of the season, trying not to play that 3 up front. He's been in striker, he's been at wing back, obviously because we sold Doherty and Semedo took a while to get in. He was at wing back because we had no other choice. And we've sort of figured out that the wing is the only place for him to be. The amount of times as a wing back, for example, he's as good as he is physically and everything, mentally, he's not sometimes all there. For example, he forgets what offside is. There's been a few goals where he's been playing.
You can't have it all, can you? You can't have it all.
No, you can't. No, you can't. And obviously, if he had it all there, he'd be playing for Barcelona or he'd be playing for Real Madrid. So that's the thing that you sort of have to take with him. But as a striker, he's not quite got that movement that, say, a Jota had. Yeah. So we've been putting him sort of a square peg in round holes. And yeah, but on the counter attack, he's just, honestly, it's just that I get more joy out of seeing him take on 6 players than a goal sometimes. It's just with Wolves sometimes being so defence first with the 5 at the back. It's just that sometimes it's the only joy you've got because he just takes on 6, 7 players. And specifically in the restart, you could hear players, what they were saying on the pitch. And you're just going, take him down. And it's the only way. It's the only way to stop him. Honestly, it is. And that's why he's wearing the grease on his arms, because people were just grabbing his arms. So it's like, right, well, baby oil up his arms, but we're trying to find a way for him to be unstoppable. But no, yeah, on the counter, I think it worked a lot better last season with the relationships that we had. It was Jota and Johnny one side, Doherty and Adama on the other. Obviously, one of those from each side has been taken, and Johnny's out injured as well. So only one of those 4 is still standing. So as I say, ironically, they've coined it Wolves 4.0 because it's the fourth season under Nuno. Then we proceeded to lose 4-0 to West Ham. So everyone was making the 4.0 jokes. It wasn't great timing. I
think it's some really good points there. It sounds like, with regards to what you're saying with obviously Johnny being out and Jota, do you think Wolves are in just a little bit of transition right now?
Definitely, yeah. I think, was it? Yeah, Sevilla. It was the last game we played last season. Nuno said this squad is largely what we had in the Championship, and he said we need new players. So we thought, okay, we'll bring a few in. We didn't think you're going to get rid of a few of our best players over the last few seasons. So it was like, Doherty, like, where are these players going? And obviously we got good money for Jota. You can't really say that for Doherty. Really strange signing, but we've sort of entered this Mendes merry-go-round, and that sometimes with obviously Mourinho being Mendes, Nuno being Mendes, Doherty transferring over to Mendes last season, we thought, okay, something's happening here. And obviously the fee. I mean, we got Jan Martino for 5 million, so I can't moan about fees sometimes. It's a strange world that we live in with Mendes. But no, yeah, it has been a refresh, and a lot of teenagers has been the thing that some fans, you get the older generation sort of saying you can't win anything with kids and all that. But I suppose me as a FIFA and a football manager generation that'll get to play with Wolves next season, it's going to be brilliant with the Fabio Silvas and the Ray and 8 Noyes. We brought in really talented youngsters, but in the same thought, with like players like Jimenez and Adama, they're not going to wait around for these 18-year-olds to be 23 and be getting us in the Champions League. This season is sort of now or never for those sorts of players, I feel, particularly Neves, Traore, Jimenez. If we don't get European football, you're probably going to wave goodbye to them. So it's a transition season, but it's also massive pressure. It's really strange.
So you think coming up to this game on Monday, obviously Wolves coming to Ellen Road. I think last time you came to Ellen Road, obviously it was a bit of a free-for-all for you boys. But I think now, as I'm sure you'll attest to, it is a completely different Leeds United. And it seems to be right now that we are on a bit of a wave as well. Probably quite similar to when Wolves first came up. And we seem to be turning a few heads like Wolves did. I really do think we're quite similar in how we do things. Are you sort of expecting the pressure to be more on Wolves?
I suppose. I mean, when you say any promoted team, but I know how you're feeling exactly, because people would say, well, we can't lose to a promoted team when Wolves got promoted, but West Brom and Fulham are promoted teams. Leeds aren't. It's just like when Cardiff and Fulham came up with us. They're the promoted teams. I know you don't want to sound too on your high horse, but we're not a promoted team. Do you know what I mean? We're doing things differently, both of us. So I don't think there's massive pressure, to be honest. I flip between being really nervous and really confident purely because of the way that you guys play is often how we counteract better. For example, we struggled against Huddersfield's, old school Brighton's, not this new Brighton. Do you know what I mean? When people sit 10 behind the ball, and often when teams come at us, we go, go on then, we'll just hit you on the break. And that's where we get the results. So I'm flittering between, wow, Leeds are really good, and wow, are Leeds the perfect team for us to play, if you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And obviously, as a man who prided himself on Championship knowledge, I've sort of, in the last few years, sort of strayed away from that. I watched the documentary with my dad, the Leeds one. But apart from that, obviously, yeah, you saw this. So I was kind of happy that you guys went up. I think when you watch your documentary, like Leeds, Sunderland,
there's Tottenham,
a recent one as well. Tottenham, that was the one. You sort of develop a soft spot, but then you realise it's sort of going on at every club. But when you saw that heartbreak for Leeds, I was like, oh, I'm glad they've gone up. But as I haven't kept a huge eye on you in the Championship, so I've heard you're brilliant, but I haven't. I'm excited to see it. Do you know what I mean? Obviously not too brilliant, but against Wolves anyway. You feel free to be brilliant after that. But no, I'm excited to see it because I've heard all these things, but I haven't seen it firsthand that much. So it'd be interesting to see all these revolutionary tactics. And obviously, people love Bielsa so much. I'm like, why? And I hopefully not too much. But yeah, as I say, we'll see some of that.
Oh, you'll see it, Finn. Trust me. It is just how I'd describe it, mate. It is just hell for leather. It's football you will never see before, because it's almost as if, I mean, he's learnt a little bit. Now we go long balls a bit as well to vary the place. You can't always pass out from the back because against teams like City, we were struggling with that because they'll just pick you off. So we're going long at some points, but it's attack, and that's where I don't know with Wolves whether or not they're going to leave spaces because they push the fullbacks quite far up, or whether or not you're going to get Nuno transition into a sort of just a back five, a 5-3-2. I mean, how do you sort of see it going, like tactics formation wise at the start of the game?
Well, it'll definitely be 5. I can tell you that. I mean, Wolves have been saying for 4 years, nearly 4 years now, will he ever change it? And I've sort of resided to whatever happens, whether we're playing Crawley in the cup, it will always be 5 at the back. And we've sort of, as I say, it's sort of this new lopsided revolutionary thing where Semedo is our much more attacking wing back down the right, a much better offensively than defensively. Obviously, that clip of Alphonso Davies doing him defensively in the Champions League semi-final just gets circulated around all Wolves fans. So we definitely rely on him going forward. But then on the left-hand side, we have just brought in this Ryan Ait-Nouri, who is apparently a brilliant attacking wing-back, but I don't think he'll play. He's only 19. So we seem to go more conservative on the left, and it sort of can transition into a 4 when Semedo's gone on one of his runs. So whether there's a way to exploit that, but it's been Johnny, obviously, who's much more defensive than Doherty was. So we've always sort of done that, but we've got Marçal came in from Lyon, who's a much more defensive left-sided wing-back. So it can end up lopsided, especially with that sort of midfielder that also drops in as a winger. You'll see what I mean. It's quite confusing what we're doing at the moment. But tactically, I can say it'll be 5 at the back. Don't necessarily think that Adama's going to start. We're doing this thing at the moment where Neto and Podence fit this new. Well, you say that, mate, but my mum will always, when Traore starts, she's like, "Why is he starting?" Because he comes on 60 minutes. Everyone's tired, and then you go, "Oh, look, who's this bloke jumping 10 foot in the air on the touchline?" And then he comes on for half an hour and tears it up. But on the face of it, he probably won't start because we favour this Neto, Podence, Jimenez asymmetric midfield winger thing. So I would probably say you're going to see that. And there's a big thing in the Wolves sort of community at the moment that Moutinho may be slightly getting past his best. I think he's 34 now. And a lot of people calling for Dendoncker and Neves to be that midfield too. So that's probably how we're going to line up. I know you're quite flexible, aren't you? It can be 3 at the back. It can be 4. So I'm interested to see what you go with.
Yeah, I think the sort of routine formation is a 4-1-4-1, but it sounds really rigid, doesn't it, Finn? But they just, you'll get a left back going over to right wing. You'll get the centre back going up front. It's just watching Leeds play it's so nerve wracking. It's entertaining, but it's just how I describe it, Finn. It's just chaos. So it might fit into what Wolves are sort of. If you're playing 5 at the back and you're quite defensively astute, then maybe that'll work for you. But then again, I sort of look at the games that have happened this year so far, and I'm thinking to myself, there's been a lot of goals conceded, hasn't there?
Yeah. Well, the main thing that people have been seeing is the gap between Bolly and Semedo, so your right centre back and your right wing back, and Sace and whoever plays left wing back, and that's where Jared Bowen had a lot of luck cutting in on his left. I know a certain Helder Costa likes to play on the right, cutting in on his left. So he's obviously going to score, as with Barry Douglas before he goes to Blackburn, probably just get a game. But no, it's that's been the thing. Defensively, we haven't been as sound, and it's the thing that Nuno relies on in the Championship. As you said, we were a fantastic team, but when we went 2-0, it was right, shut up shop. He's a very defensive-minded manager.
Right. Okay.
I think our wins against you were probably our biggest wins of that league season. It was 2-0 and then stop. It was always 2-0 to Wolves, like the 1-0 to the Arsenal sort of thing. Yeah. It's 2-0 to Wolves. So I think he will be drilling them, the ones that are left anyway, that have not been on international break. And of course, that's another thing, actually, that if the whole Portuguese squad has got Corona, then you might get a very easy win. But no, he'll have been working with them on that defensive shape, because that's the thing that we've prided ourselves on, and it hasn't been as good. If we can work on those gaps in between the wing backs, which I think you guys will look to exploit, then hopefully we might be all right. As I say, we like teams that come at us. It's just, as you say, like chaos and things like that. I was watching an interview with Luke Ayling in the week, and he said you guys play a thing called murder ball or something. And I was like, what? All these words that are coming out. I was like, what is this bloke doing to him? I'm very invested in murder ball.
Yeah, he's absolutely. He's killing them. He won't let them. And it was really interesting when we're watching the City game, because obviously I know you boys have had a bit of troubles with City, but we were grinding them down. It got to a point where, because we're such a fit team, I would still say today, we are the fittest team in the Premier League. We might not be the best, but we are the fittest. They just don't stop. And like Luke Ayling was saying, it's balls thrown into onto the pitch, and they're not allowed to stop for 90 minutes. No throw-ins, no offsides, no anything.
Yeah.
So it's absolute chaos, and you've seen the players sort of shred 2-3 kg. I mean, it works both ways, to be honest, Finn, because then what then happens, the physicality department of it then goes out the window a little bit, doesn't it? You know, when you're marking Willy Bolly, it's going to be, you're not going to have the muscles as well to be, you know, sort of physicality against Adama Traore. But yeah, I think it's going to be a real interesting, but Finn as well. You'd rather watch a game of entertaining football, you know, Wolves with some brilliant players, Leeds with some brilliant players going hammer and tong. And I think that's where we got the respect of Liverpool and Man City, because we're not just sitting back. It's like, come on, let's play, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's, especially if we're going to be paying £15 a game soon, and you at least want to be entertained. Like West Brom Burnley, no one's paying £15 for that because you know what sort of football it's going to be. Whereas Wolves Leeds, you go, oh, that's going to be a nice game. And I think, because teams, I think we found it, especially towards the end of last season, we were sitting back and you're delaying the inevitable. Obviously, we prided ourselves on going at teams, and we've got wins against City, United, Arsenal, Chelsea. But last season, towards the end, when we were getting tired, it was like the Sevilla game where we lost 1-0, 87th minute. I'd rather lose 3-0, you know what I mean, and have a go than just that last minute killer, you know. So it's great to play that. I can't say that Wolves are necessarily like that, because we have turned into more of a sit back team. So I don't want to say we're on your sort of level of let's have a go at everyone. I think you're probably more brave in that sense than we are. But no, yeah, I'm excited to see it. I watched the Liverpool game, and I mean, looking at tactics or anything like that, it just went out the window. I was like, what is going on? Like, is this real? Like Van Dijk making mistakes? It's like, have I woken up? It's very strange.
Well, it's going to be interesting in terms of, because I mean, from watching, I mean, Connor Cody, I think I've spotted you. Correct me if I'm wrong, because you watch him week in, week out. But with Saiz and Bolly, I always feel that if you completely isolate Connor Cody, you know, if those two are out of position for whatever, you know, whatever's happening, they're out of position, and you isolate Connor Cody, I feel you can get a bit of joy there. I don't know if that is a sort of theme.
Yeah, well, Cody's in there because, I mean, I think he's played every single game under Nuno, bar one where he got sent off and then was suspended for the next game. And he's a stalwart there, and he starts attacks. You'll see the balls out to the wing backs, maybe even straight through to Jimenez. But he's sort of accommodated defensively. He's not the best defender in the world, but he's in there because, I mean, he's a scouser, so he talks a lot. He's a leader, obviously. That comes with the birth, I think. But no, yeah, that's what he's there for. His defensive attributes are his weakest point, and teams have done that and had a lot of joy. I remember last two games, obviously Antonio Mitrovic, but there was one last season, I can't remember who it was, this huge striker, which I don't think you've got one on your books, really, that's absolutely huge, but he was useless all season. But I remember him having a great game against Cody. I'm like, that is the way to beat Wolves. And last season when Willy Bolly was injured, it was Sace, Cody, Dendoncker as a back three, and that is three for the whole of their career until Wolves. They were midfielders. Yeah, three midfielders at the back, and people sort of they were great playing the ball out, but defensively wise, they're not. Sace isn't the biggest. I mean, he's probably just over 6 foot, and same with Dendoncker. Cody's just under. So there's no big man until Bolly's in there, and I think isolating Cody is the way to go. If you had I don't know whether you've got a youth like 6'7" guy knocking around, maybe even a centre back. I don't know.
Well, I guess the one that started the Premier League campaign quite well, and it's probably Patrick Bamford, who seems to be doing okay at this moment in time. And Bamford's about 6'2". I don't know how tall Cody is. He's about 5'10", 5'11".
Yeah, around that.
Yeah, which is quite small for a centre back, isn't it? So
he's going in my FPL, Bamford. I'll tell you that. That's how confident I am. Oh God, even.
Brilliant. But mate, just to end on, it's been absolutely fantastic. And where can people find you, Finn?
Everywhere. I'm Finerrz. I spelt it when I was 12, so it's how you think it wouldn't be spelled. It's Finerrz.
I was trying to find Finn for ages, and it is Finerrz. I think it is, isn't it, Finn?
Yeah, well, most people have spelt Finn with 2 N's. Mine isn't. So I thought, 12-year-old me, I was like, I'll be cool and chuck it at 2 R's. Then I had my Twitter and Instagram as that. Then I was like, right, I need to make my YouTube that. And mate, it's been trouble. You can see what people are on YouTube. I don't know if you've seen in the back end. You can see how people have been searching you. And everyone's spelled it wrong. Somehow they've got there eventually. But no, YouTube mainly, Instagram, Twitter, all of that. Just need any Wolves stuff, I'm here.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll want to see the reactions, and Finn does a lot of vlogs as well with his family, which as you guys all know, I do it with my family as well. So if you like that kind of stuff, go over and check Finn out. Hopefully he'll be crying into a Wolves shirt on Monday night. But sorry about that, Finn. But
you Saka puntasses, I hope that's the one.
As long as I get sharpener, mate, it's fine.
That's
but,
right,
but yeah, honestly, mate, cheers for doing this, and we might even link up after the game. We'll see how it goes.
Perfect.
Yeah. All right, mate. Thank you.
Pleasure.